Have you ever realized the person you would die for was quietly arranging for you to do exactly that? My name is Ruth Harrington, 60 years old, born and raised under the big Texas sky. I built Harrington Fizz from a backyard recipe into the orange soda every kid in the Lone Star State grew up on. Folks call me the Fizz Queen. I call myself Grandma Lillian Droniak's #1 fan because that 94-year-old firecracker taught me one thing: don't get old, get even. 3 years ago, I thought I was handing my company to my son so I could slow down. Turns out I was signing my own slow-motion burial. Until my daughter Ellie decided enough was enough. But let me take you back to where the knife first went in. June 2019, the day my husband Tom died. Heart attack, instant. He was watering the hydrangeas 1 second, face down in the mulch the next. 58 years old. We'd been married 37 years. I'd spent 3 decades building Harrington Fizz into a $100 million brand, and in 60 seconds I lost the only person who knew what that actually cost me. The funeral was a blur. My son Henry stood beside me, solid as an oak tree. His wife Jennifer kept bringing me water I didn't drink. My daughter Ellie flew in from Seattle, holding my hand through every hymn. 200 people filled that church. Half of them worked for me. The other half drank my soda. I went numb for weeks. Couldn't sleep in our bed. Couldn't look at Tom's reading chair. The business kept running because my team was exceptional, but I was a ghost in my own boardroom. Henry noticed. Of course he did. He was my firstborn, my legacy. 2 months after the funeral, he sat me down in my kitchen. Jennifer made coffee. Their kids, my grandkids Emma and Lucas, were coloring at the table, 8 and 6 years old, perfect and innocent. Henry cleared his throat. "Mom," he said, "we're worried about you. You're carrying too much. The company, the finances, the estate lawyers, all of it. Let us help." I should have seen it then. The way Jennifer's hand touched his shoulder. The way her eyes never quite met mine. But grief makes you stupid. Grief makes you grateful for anyone who'll stand close enough to catch you when you fall. So, I said yes. It started small. Henry took over meetings with the estate attorney. Jennifer offered to handle my monthly bills since I was, quote, too scattered to keep track. I gave them access to my checking account. Just temporary, they said. Just until you find your footing, Mom. I found my footing. But they never gave the access back. By month 4, Henry was suggesting I step back from board meetings. "You're emotional, Mom. The board can smell it. Let me represent the family until you're stronger." Jennifer chimed in sweetly. "You've given 30 years, Ruth. You deserve rest." Rest. That word became a weapon. Every time I wanted to review quarterly reports, I was told I needed rest. Every time I questioned a decision Henry made without consulting me, Jennifer would sigh and say, "Ruth, you're exhausted. You're not thinking clearly." Even the grandkids started parroting it. "Grandma needs her rest. Grandma's tired." I wasn't tired. I was being erased. The gaslighting was surgical. Henry would mention conversations we'd supposedly had that I had zero memory of. "You agreed to this last Tuesday, Mom. Don't you remember? We talked about it over dinner." I doubt myself. Maybe I had forgotten. Maybe grief was eating my brain. Jennifer played a different angle. She'd bring up my age constantly. 60 isn't old, Ruth, but it's different. My mother started slipping at 62, just little things at first. The implication hung in the air like poison. Was I slipping? Was I losing it? Then came the business pressure. Henry started making moves I never would have approved. Cheap suppliers. Cost-cutting that sacrificed quality. When I confronted him, he exploded. "This is exactly why Dad wanted me to take over. You're stuck in the past, Mom. You can't adapt. You're going to run this company into the ground." I'll never forget how Jennifer jumped in. "Henry, don't yell at your mother." Then to me, softer, deadlier. "Ruth, he's under so much pressure. You put him in charge, but you won't let him lead. It's confusing for everyone." I started withdrawing, not because I wanted to, because every time I asserted myself, I was made to feel crazy, overbearing, or senile. The woman who'd pitched Harrington Fizz to Walmart executives without breaking a sweat was now second-guessing whether she'd remembered to turn off the stove. Ellie called every week from Seattle. She'd ask how I was doing. I'd say fine. She'd ask about Henry and the business. I'd say he's doing great. I didn't tell her about the creeping dread in my chest. The way I'd started keeping a journal just to prove to myself I wasn't losing my memory. The way I'd wake up at 3 a.m. wondering if I'd made a terrible mistake. It was January of this year when things escalated. I got a call from my financial advisor, Richard Chen. We'd worked together for 15 years. "Ruth," he said carefully, "I need to ask you something. Did you authorize a transfer of $85,000 from your brokerage account last month?" My blood went cold. "No," I said, "I didn't." There was a pause. "The authorization came from an email with your name on it. Henry.C. signed as your financial power of attorney." "I didn't give Henry power of attorney." Richard's voice dropped. "Ruth, according to the paperwork we have on file, you did. 6 months ago." I hung up and sat in my kitchen shaking. 6 months ago, I'd signed a stack of estate documents Henry said were standard post-Tom protocols. I'd been so deep in fog I hadn't read them. I'd just signed where he pointed. That night I went looking. I tore through my home office until I found the folder. There it was. Financial power of attorney. Medical power of attorney. Authorization for Henry to act on my behalf for all business and personal matters. I'd signed myself into a cage. I spent 3 days going through bank statements. 3 days that aged me 10 years. $85,000 in January. $62,000 in October. $48,000 in July. The transfers went back 27 months. Small enough not to trigger alarm bells. Large enough to gut me. $250,000. Gone. The descriptions were clinical. Family investment portfolio. Educational trust for grandchildren. Future medical reserve for Ruth Harrington. Every single one authorized by Henry using that power of attorney I'd signed in my grief-soaked stupor. I called him. Kept my voice steady. "Henry, we need to talk about some transfers from my brokerage account." Silence. "Then, Mom, those are all legitimate family expenses we discussed. You approved everything. I never approved $250,000 leaving my accounts." His voice turned sharp. "You did. You just don't remember. This is exactly what Jennifer and I have been worried about. Your memory, Mom. It's going." The gaslighting was so smooth it almost worked. Almost. But I had bank statements in front of me. Dates, numbers, reality. "I'm hiring my own attorney," I said. He hung up on me. Within 2 hours, Jennifer called. She was crying. "Ruth, please don't do this. Henry is trying so hard to hold everything together. The company's struggling. We've been using our savings to keep Harrington Fizz afloat. We were going to tell you when things stabilized. We didn't want to worry you. The company wasn't struggling. I still got quarterly reports. Revenue was up 8% year over year." She was lying to my face and crying while she did it. That night, Emma called. My 8-year-old granddaughter. "Grandma, are you mad at Daddy? He said you're confused, and we're not supposed to call you anymore because it makes you upset." My heart cracked clean in half. "Baby, I'm not confused. I love you. I'll always want to talk to you. Mommy says you need rest. She says too many phone calls make your brain tired." I wanted to scream. Instead I said, "Emma, Grandma's brain is just fine. I love you more than the whole sky." After we hung up, I sat in Tom's reading chair and cried for the first time since his funeral. They were taking my money. They were taking my company. Now they were taking my grandchildren. I called Ellie in Seattle. Told her everything. Every transfer. Every lie. Every manipulation. She went silent for 10 seconds. Then, "I'm on the next flight." Ellie arrived the next morning with a laptop and a fury I'd forgotten she possessed. My daughter worked in tech. She understood systems. She understood how to find digital fingerprints people thought they'd erased. We started with my email. Ellie pulled up the sent folder and started filtering by recipient. Look at this, Mom, January 18th. You supposedly emailed Richard Chen authorizing that $85,000 transfer. I remember that day, I said. I was at my book club. I didn't send any emails. Ellie clicked into the message properties. This was sent at 2:47 p.m. from your account. But look at the IP address. She pulled up another window. That's not your home network. That's Henry and Jennifer's house. Someone sent it from their place. Pretending to be me. Ellie's jaw tightened. That's identity fraud, Mom. That's a felony. We kept digging. 8 more emails, all sent from Henry and Jennifer's IP address, all authorizing transfers I never approved. Ellie screenshot everything, documented every detail, built a timeline that would make a prosecutor weep with joy. Then she opened my phone settings. Mom, when did you last update your cell plan? I don't know. Henry said he simplified it last year. Why? Because your text message backup has been forwarding to Jennifer's email since August. Every text you send or receive, she sees. I felt sick. How long have they been watching me? Long enough, Ellie said quietly. That weekend, Henry and Jennifer showed up unannounced. Family dinner, Jennifer said brightly, holding a casserole. The kids are in the car. We thought it would be nice to reconnect. Ellie opened the door. Hey, Henry. Hey, Jennifer. Come on in. They walked into an ambush. My attorney, Patricia Vance, sat at my dining room table. Next to her was a forensic accountant named David Park. Across from them was a laptop displaying every fraudulent email, every unauthorized transfer, every shred of evidence we'd compiled. Henry went white. Mom, what is this? This is the part where you stop lying, I said. Jennifer grabbed Henry's arm. We should go. Patricia stood. You can go. But understand that the moment you walk out that door, we file criminal charges for identity fraud, elder financial abuse, and embezzlement. Or you can sit down and we can discuss a settlement. Henry looked at me. His eyes were desperate. Mom, please. I can explain. Then explain, I said. Explain why you stole $250,000 from your own mother. Explain why you made my granddaughter think I was losing my mind. Explain why you watched me fall apart and decided to profit from it. He collapsed into a chair. Jennifer stood frozen in the doorway. The truth came out in pieces. Ugly, pathetic pieces. Henry had made bad investments, real estate deals that tanked, cryptocurrency gambles that evaporated. He owed people. Not dangerous people, but people who could ruin his reputation, his pride. He'd taken $50,000 first, just to cover the hole, told himself he'd pay it back. Then the company started demanding more from him, more revenue, more growth, more proof he was worthy of the Harrington name. He panicked, took more, then more. Jennifer finally spoke. Her voice was ice. You want to know the truth, Ruth? Fine. I've spent 7 years doing unpaid labor for this family. 7 years managing your social calendar, hosting your corporate dinners, raising your grandchildren, while Henry worked 80-hour weeks trying to live up to your impossible standards. 7 years watching you get praised while I got nothing. Not a salary, not a thank you, nothing. She stepped closer. You built an empire and we got the crumbs. So, yes, when the opportunity came to take what we were owed, I took it. And I'd do it again. The room went silent. Even Henry looked shocked. Ellie leaned forward. You felt owed. So you committed elder financial abuse. You gaslit a woman who just lost her husband. You poisoned her relationship with her grandchildren. You want a medal for that, Jennifer? Jennifer's face twisted. You don't get it. None of you get it. I gave up my career for this family. I was a financial analyst, making 6 figures. Henry begged me to quit so I could support his transition into the business. Support him, support her, be the perfect Harrington wife. And what did I get? Invisible, taken for granted, used. There it was, the wound underneath the crime. Jennifer wasn't just greedy, she was drowning in resentment that had been building for years. Years I'd been too focused on quarterly earnings to notice. I looked at Henry. He couldn't meet my eyes. I looked at Jennifer. She was vibrating with rage and shame. Patricia cleared her throat. Here's what's going to happen. You're going to sign a settlement agreement. You'll return every dollar, plus interest. Henry will resign from Harrington Fizz effective immediately. You'll both enter a payment plan monitored by the court. And you'll sign a binding agreement limiting contact with Ruth to supervised visits with the grandchildren only. Henry's head snapped up. Mom, please, don't do this. I'm your son. That word, son. It should have softened me. It didn't. You were my son, I said quietly. The man sitting in front of me is someone I don't recognize. We can fix this, Henry whispered. Give me a chance, please. And there it was. The choice. I could hold on to my anger, press charges, watch my son go to prison, burn the bridge completely. Or I could find some path forward that didn't destroy what was left of my family. I thought about Tom. What would he want? He'd want mercy. He always saw the best in Henry, but Tom wasn't here to pick up the pieces. I was. I looked at Ellie. She gave me the smallest nod. Whatever you decide, Mom. I've got you. I took a breath. Here's my offer. You sign the settlement. You pay back every cent over 5 years. Henry, you're out of the company permanently. Jennifer, you stay away from me unless it's a major family event. Christmas, birthdays, that's it. And the kids. I see Emma and Lucas twice a month, supervised at first. But I will not lose my grandchildren because of your crimes. Henry started crying. Real tears. Broken, ugly tears. Mom, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Sorry doesn't give me back 3 years, I said. Sorry doesn't undo the nights I thought I was losing my mind. Sorry is just a word, Henry. But I'm giving you a chance anyway. Take it or leave it. He took it. They both did. Signed the papers right there at my dining room table. Patricia witnessed everything. David took copies. By 7 p.m. it was done. They left without the casserole. Ellie and I sat in the wreckage of my dining room and didn't speak for 20 minutes. Finally, she said, "You could have pressed charges." I know. Why didn't you? Because he's still my son. And I'm tired of being angry. Ellie squeezed my hand. You're stronger than I ever gave you credit for, Mom. No, I said. I'm just old enough to know that revenge doesn't fix betrayal. It just makes you bitter. But here's what I did do. 3 weeks later, I recorded a video. Sat in my home office in my favorite denim shirt, gray hair down, no makeup, just me, Ruth Harrington. 60 years old and done with being quiet. I talked about what happened. Not the details, not names, but the shape of it. Elder financial abuse, family betrayal, gaslighting. The things people don't want to admit happen in nice families with nice houses and nice smiles. The video went viral, 2 million views in 4 days. News outlets called, podcasts wanted interviews. Women my age started reaching out. Thank you for saying it out loud. Thank you for not being ashamed. Thank you for surviving. Somebody commented, "This is giving Grandma Droniak energy." I had to Google her. 94 years old, sharp as a knife, taking no prisoners on TikTok. I watched 20 of her videos that night. Fell in love with her fearless, unapologetic spirit. That's when I decided. I wasn't going to shrink. I wasn't going to disappear. I was going to channel every ounce of pain into something bigger. I started a mentorship program for women CEOs over 50, called it Second Act. We meet monthly, share war stories, build each other up, remind each other that 60 isn't the end. It's the beginning of not giving a damn about what people think. Harrington Fizz launched a new campaign. 60 and Fizzy. My face on every billboard in Texas, gray hair, laugh lines, 0 apologies. Sales jumped 12% in 6 months. Henry and I don't talk much, maybe twice a year. Stiff, careful conversations that hurt more than silence. Jennifer sends Christmas cards with photos of the kids. I send checks for their birthdays. It's not forgiveness. It's not reconciliation. It's survival. But Emma and Lucas. I see them every other Saturday. We bake, we laugh. I teach them that family isn't about perfection. It's about showing up even when it's hard. People ask if I regret not sending Henry to prison. Honestly, some days yes, some days no. But I sleep at night, and that's something. Grandma Lillian Droniak says the best revenge is living so well it makes people question their choices. So that's what I'm doing. Living loud, living fierce. Living like a woman who survived betrayal and came out the other side sharper, stronger, and completely unbothered. 60 and fizzy, baby. And I'm just getting started. 2 months after the settlement, Ellie still wasn't satisfied. She showed up at my house on a Tuesday morning with coffee and a stubborn expression I recognized from her teenage years. "Mom, we're going to Seton Medical Center. You're getting a full cognitive workup." "I don't need a cognitive workup. I'm fine." "I know you're fine. But Henry and Jennifer spent 2 years telling everyone you weren't. They told the board. They told your friends. They probably told half of Austin that you were slipping. We're going to get documentation that proves you never were." She was right. The whispers had already started. Poor Ruth. Such a sharp woman. Shame about the memory issues. I'd heard it at church. At the grocery store. Even my hairdresser had asked gently if I was doing okay, if I was keeping up with my appointments. Henry and Jennifer had poisoned the well. Now we needed to clean it. The testing took 4 hours. Memory assessments. Problem-solving exercises. Pattern recognition. Cognitive processing speed. A neurologist named Dr. Sarah Kimball walked me through every evaluation with clinical precision. A week later, Ellie and I sat in Dr. Kimball's office waiting for results. My hands were shaking. What if they found something? What if Henry had been right and I'd been too proud to see it? Dr. Kimball opened the folder. "Mrs. Harrington, I'm going to be direct. Your cognitive function is exceptional. Your memory scores are in the 97th percentile for your age group. Your processing speed is comparable to the average 42-year-old. Your executive function is outstanding. There is zero evidence of decline, impairment, or early-stage dementia." She looked up. "Whatever your son told people, it was false. You're sharp as a tack." I started crying, not sad tears, relief tears, vindication tears. Ellie grabbed my hand and didn't let go. We got copies of everything. Medical documentation on official letterhead. Charts. Test scores. Proof that I was exactly who I'd always been. Henry had lied. Jennifer had lied. And now we had receipts. That night, Ellie was at my kitchen table working on her laptop when she suddenly went still. "Mom, come look at this." I walked over. She'd pulled up county property records. Our family ranch in Hill Country. 200 acres of live oak and bluebonnets that Tom and I bought 30 years ago. The place where we'd taught Henry to ride, where Ellie learned to shoot, where we'd scattered wildflower seeds every spring and watched them bloom every April. Ellie pointed at the screen. "There's a lien on the ranch. Second mortgage. Filed 14 months ago." My stomach dropped. I never took out a second mortgage. Ellie clicked through documents. "The signature on the loan application is yours. But look at the date. March 7th, 2023. Mom, where were you that day?" I grabbed my planner. I keep detailed records. Always have. March 7th. I was in Dallas for a distributor conference. 300 miles away. "Someone forged your signature. Again." "How much?" My voice came out broken. $180,000. Against the ranch. "If you default, the bank forecloses." I sat down hard. The ranch. They'd gone after the ranch. The one place Tom and I had built with our bare hands. The place where his ashes were scattered under the oak tree by the creek. The place I'd promised him would stay in our family forever. Ellie was already on the phone with Patricia. I walked outside, couldn't breathe, couldn't think, got in my old Silverado and just drove. I ended up at the ranch, 45 minutes west of Austin, down a caliche road that kicked up white dust behind my tires, parked by the creek, sat on the tailgate watching the water move over limestone. Tom and I bought this land when Henry was 8. Ellie was 4. We'd lived in a tiny apartment in downtown Austin while I built Harrington Fizz, from nothing, worked 100-hour weeks. Missed school plays. Missed soccer games. Missed bedtimes. When the business finally turned profit, Tom said, "We need a place that's just ours, not the company, not the brand, just us." So we found this ranch, fixed the fences ourselves, built the barn with our own hands, planted the orchard, created something real. Henry loved this place. He'd ride his horse for hours, come back sunburned and happy, smelling like summer and dirt. Tom taught him how to fix the tractor, how to mend barbed wire, how to be a Texas man who worked hard and kept his word. "I taught that boy how to be a Texas man," I whispered to the creek. How did he forget? For the first time since Tom died, I really broke. Not the controlled tears at the funeral, not the silent grief in the middle of the night. Full-body sobs that came from somewhere so deep I didn't know I had it. I cried for Tom, for the life we built, for the son I thought I raised, for the trust I'd given so freely and had shattered so completely. I cried until my throat was raw, and my eyes were swollen, and there was nothing left inside me but emptiness. My phone rang. "Ellie." "Mom, where are you?" "The ranch." "Stay there. I'm coming." She showed up 30 minutes later with Patricia. They found me still sitting on the tailgate, staring at the water. Patricia sat down next to me. "We can fight this. The signature's forged. We have proof you were in Dallas. The loan is fraudulent. We can void it." "And what happens to Henry?" Patricia chose her words carefully. "This crosses a line, Ruth. Forging your signature to steal your savings is one thing. Forging documents to seize property with clear deed history and emotional significance? That's a different level. The DA would prosecute this aggressively." I watched the creek. Ellie sat on my other side. "Mom," she said quietly, "you don't have to protect him anymore. He's my son. He forged papers to take Dad's ranch." That sentence hit like a punch. Tom's ranch, the place we'd dreamed about, the place we'd built together, the place where his memory lived in every fence post and every tree. Henry wasn't just stealing from me anymore. He was stealing from Tom, from our past, from everything we'd built with love and sweat and hope. I looked at Patricia. "File charges. All of them. I'm done protecting someone who won't protect what we built." Patricia laid out the charges like she was building a house. Elder financial abuse, forgery, wire fraud, grand theft. Each one carried years. Together they could put Henry away for a decade. But I couldn't pull the trigger. Not yet. That night, Ellie and I sat in my kitchen drinking Tom's favorite bourbon. "We need to know why," I said. "The money's one thing. But the ranch? There's something bigger here." Ellie swirled her glass. "Then we make them tell us." "How?" "We bait them. Give them something they want more than hiding. Make them feel safe enough to brag." She pulled out her laptop. "Mom, how would you feel about pretending to sell Harrington Fizz?" I stared at her. "You want me to fake selling my company?" "Not really selling it, just dangling the possibility. Henry thinks he's lost his position. He's desperate. If he thinks there's one last payday coming, he'll show his cards. And we'll be recording every word." It was risky. It was theatrical. It was exactly what Grandma Lillian Droniak would do. 48 hours later, a custom black Stetson arrived at my door. No return address, just a note in spiky handwriting. "For the Fizz Queen. Channel your inner fierce, honey. Wear it proud." Signed with a lipstick kiss mark. Grandma L. I turned the hat over in my hands. Ellie grinned. "Open the liner." Inside the sweatband was a tiny wireless microphone, barely visible, professional grade. Ellie had ordered it after reaching out to one of Grandma Lillian's famous TikTok followers, who happened to be a private investigator in Dallas. Every family meeting, every conversation, everything Henry and Jennifer say when they think you're just a confused old lady, we capture it all. I put the hat on, looked at myself in the mirror. Gray hair, lined face, zero tolerance left for lies. Let's do this. I called Henry. Kept my voice tired. Defeated. Honey, I've been thinking. Maybe you were right. Maybe I should step back. I'm getting old. This fight is exhausting. I want to talk about selling Harrington Fizz while it's still worth something. The silence on the other end lasted 3 seconds. Then, Mom, are you serious? I'm tired, Henry. I just want peace. Can you and Jennifer come over Saturday? Let's talk about what a sale would look like. What we'd all get. He agreed so fast I almost hung up on him. Saturday came. I wore the Stetson. Henry and Jennifer walked in looking like they'd won the lottery. Ellie was upstairs, monitoring the audio feed on her laptop. I made coffee, played the part. Shaky hands, hesitant voice. So I've been talking to some brokers. Harrington Fizz could sell for somewhere between 80 and 90 million. After taxes and debts, we'd be looking at around 60 million to split. Jennifer leaned forward. How would you want to split it? Well, I figured 40% to me for retirement, 30% to you and Henry for managing the transition, 30% split between you and Ellie. Henry's eyes lit up. 18 million. $18 million. Mom, that's generous. That's really generous. I want my family taken care of, I said softly. Even after everything, you're still my son. Jennifer squeezed Henry's hand. Ruth, we're so glad you're being reasonable. This has been hard on all of us. We never wanted conflict. We just wanted security. The words were poison wrapped in sugar. But I smiled, nodded, played along. Then I asked the question that changed everything. Henry, honey, what would you do with your share? He didn't even hesitate. First thing, pay off the San Antonio plant. That expansion is killing us. We're down 200,000 already. Another 3 months and it goes under. Then probably invest in Jennifer's consulting firm. Get her back to what she loves. Jennifer jumped in. The Westlake house needs work too. We've been struggling to keep up with the neighborhood. Everyone's renovating. Everyone's got the right cars, the right schools. We look poor compared to the Hendersons and the Chens. It's humiliating. There it was, the real motive. Henry had gambled on a business expansion that was failing. Jennifer was drowning in keeping up with the Joneses' debt. They'd stolen from me not because they were evil, because they were desperate and arrogant and stupid. I kept my face neutral. Well, a sale would solve all that. Henry reached across the table. Grabbed my hand. Mom, thank you. Thank you for understanding. I know I messed up, but this gives us a fresh start. I wanted to throw coffee in his face. Instead, I squeezed back. Family's family. They left an hour later. Happy. Relieved. Stupid. Ellie came downstairs with the laptop. She'd recorded everything, every admission, every confession, every self-serving justification. We've got them, she said. Not yet. We need more. I want to know exactly how deep this goes. Over the next 30 days, I played the role of my life. Confused matriarch, ready to cash out. I held 3 more meetings. Each one, I wore the Stetson. Each one, Henry and Jennifer talked themselves deeper into the hole. They admitted to forging the ranch mortgage to cover Henry's construction overruns. Admitted to using my credit cards for Jennifer's Neiman Henry habit and private school tuition they couldn't afford. Admitted they'd planned this from the week after Tom's funeral. We were going to wait until you were older, Jennifer said at one meeting. But honestly, Ruth, you made it easy. You were so checked out after Tom died. It felt like you were asking us to take over. Easter Sunday. The ranch was exactly how Tom would have wanted it. 3 smokers going since dawn, mesquite and oak mixing in the air. Folding tables covered in checkered cloth, sweet tea in mason jars. Shiner Bock in coolers full of ice. Bluebonnets blooming across the pasture like someone had spilled the sky. I'd invited everyone. Henry and Jennifer thought it was my peace offering. A family reunion to celebrate moving forward. They showed up in their Sunday best, all smiles. Brought the kids. Brought a pecan pie. What they didn't know was that 63 other people were coming too. Cousins from Dallas. Tom's brother. And his family from San Antonio. Half our church congregation, including Pastor Mike. Neighbors from 5 miles in every direction, the Harrington Fizz Board of Directors, and a very quiet process server standing by the barn. Ellie helped me set up the projector and screen near the oak tree where we'd scattered Tom's ashes. Hooked up the sound system we used for summer movie nights. Henry walked by and laughed. "Mom, what's all this?" "Just some family videos," I said. "Thought it'd be nice to remember the good times." He bought it. Of course he did. I'd spent 6 weeks playing broken. He thought I was senile enough to believe his lies and sentimental enough to forgive them. By 1 p.m., everyone had arrived. Plates full of brisket and potato salad. Kids running through the field. Adults standing in clusters talking about the weather and the Astros. Henry and Jennifer worked the crowd like politicians. Shaking hands. Making small talk. Playing the perfect son and daughter-in-law. I climbed up on the porch, tapped the microphone. The crowd went quiet. "Thank you all for coming," I said. "It means the world to have family and friends here at the ranch Tom and I loved so much. I know Easter is about resurrection, about new life, about truth coming to light. So I wanted to share something with all of you today." I nodded to Ellie. She hit play. The screen lit up. First image was Henry sitting in my kitchen, holding coffee, looking relaxed. The audio was crystal clear. The date stamp showed 3 weeks ago. Henry's voice. "First thing, pay off the San Antonio plant. That expansion is killing us. We're down 200,000 already." The crowd stirred, confused. Henry went pale. Next clip, Jennifer at my dining room table. "We were going to wait until you were older, but honestly, Ruth, you made it easy. You were so checked out after Tom died. It felt like you were asking us to take over." Someone gasped. I couldn't tell who. 18 minutes. That's how long the video ran. 18 minutes of Henry and Jennifer admitting to forging my signature, stealing my money, manipulating my grandchildren, lying to the board, gaslighting me about my mental capacity, mortgaging the ranch without my knowledge. Every crime, every betrayal, every calculated decision to exploit my grief. Their own words, their own voices, no spin, no excuses, just truth. Jennifer started crying halfway through, sobbing openly. People around her stepped back like she was contagious. Henry stood frozen, face white as primer paint, watching his entire life collapse in front of 70 people who'd known him since he was born. When it ended, the silence was absolute. Even the kids had stopped playing. I stepped forward. For those of you wondering, everything you just heard is real. Recorded over the last 6 weeks with their full knowledge that we were having family meetings. They just didn't know I was documenting them. Pastor Mike looked like someone had punched him. Henry had been a deacon, had taught Sunday school, had stood at that pulpit and talked about integrity. Henry suddenly dropped to his knees in the mesquite smoke drifting from the smokers. "Mama, please. I was scared. The business was failing. I was terrified of losing everything Dad built. Terrified of letting you down. I made terrible choices because I was desperate." Jennifer was still crying. But she wasn't defending him, wasn't defending herself, just broken. I walked down the porch steps. Stood in front of my son kneeling in the dirt. The son I'd carried for 9 months. The son I'd taught to ride a bike. The son who looked like Tom when the light hit him right. "You were scared of losing everything," I said quietly. "So you chose to lose me instead. You watched me fall apart and decided to profit from my pain. You made me question my own mind. You turned my grandbabies into weapons. You forged my dead husband's name to steal his land. The crowd was close enough to hear every word. Henry reached for my hand. I stepped back. You weren't scared, Henry. You were greedy. You were entitled. You were so convinced you deserved my empire that you decided to take it before I was even gone. And when I wouldn't die fast enough, you tried to bury me alive. I looked at Jennifer. She couldn't meet my eyes. I'm not pressing criminal charges, I said. The crowd murmured. But not because you deserve mercy. Because I won't let my grandchildren grow up visiting their parents in prison. That's the only grace you're getting from me. I pulled papers from my pocket. Patricia had prepared them. This is a settlement agreement. You'll repay every dollar over 7 years. Monitored by the court. Miss one payment, and I prosecute everything. Henry, you're permanently removed from Harrington Fizz with no severance. Jennifer, you're barred from any contact with me or my assets. The kids can see me supervised twice a month. That's it. The process server stepped forward, handed Henry the papers. Sign them now, or I call the sheriff and you leave in handcuffs. Henry's hands shook as he signed. Jennifer signed next to him. Both of them crying. Both of them destroyed. I looked at the crowd. Pastor Mike, Tom's brother, our neighbors, the board members. Thank you for witnessing this. I wanted you all to know the truth. Not gossip, not rumors. Truth. My son committed elder financial abuse against his own mother. And I will not be silent about it. I turned and walked back to the porch. Ellie met me there, squeezed my hand. Henry and Jennifer gathered their kids and left. Nobody said goodbye to them. Nobody stopped them. The party continued, quieter, heavier, but it continued. Because I was still standing, still sharp, still the Fizz Queen. And I just taught 70 people that being nice doesn't mean being weak. Grandma Lillian would have been proud. The Monday after Easter, Ellie walked into Travis County Courthouse with a briefcase full of evidence. Recordings. Bank statements. Forged documents. Medical records proving I was cognitively sound. Witness statements from Pastor Mike and half the congregation who'd watched Henry confess on that screen. She filed civil complaints for elder financial abuse, fraud, and breach of fiduciary duty. The criminal complaints came next. Forgery, grand theft, wire fraud, identity theft. Each charge backed by documentation so airtight even a first-year prosecutor could win. The DA's office called me personally. Mrs. Harrington, we'd like to move forward with prosecution. What your son did is textbook elder abuse. We want to make an example. I asked for 48 hours to think about it. Spent those 2 days at the ranch, sitting under Tom's tree, talking to him like he could hear me. What would you want me to do? I asked the wind. He'd loved Henry, believed in second chances, but he'd also taught me that some lines, once crossed, can't be uncrossed. In the end, I told the DA to hold off on criminal charges. But the civil case moved forward like a freight train. Patricia was ruthless. She deposed Henry for 8 hours. Made him explain every forged signature, every stolen dollar, every lie he'd told. His own attorney looked sick by the end of it. Jennifer got deposed separately. She broke down 3 times. Admitted she'd pressured Henry to take more, admitted she'd tracked my phone, admitted she'd coached the kids to tell me I needed rest. Admitted everything. The settlement came 6 weeks later. Full restitution of $250,000 plus interest. Another $500,000 in punitive damages. $250,000 for emotional distress. Patricia had argued for more, but I stopped her. I didn't want to bleed them dry. I wanted them to rebuild their lives, just far away from mine. Total recovery. $1 million. More than they'd taken. Enough to hurt. But the real consequences came from everywhere else. Jennifer's high-end PR firm in downtown Austin fired her within a week of the Easter video going viral. Someone at the party had recorded it on their phone, posted it on a private Facebook group. Within 3 days, it had spread through every PTO, every country club, every church circle in Westlake. The mothers at St. Andrew's Episcopal School stopped inviting Jennifer to playdates, stopped returning her calls. One mom told her outright, "We can't trust someone who steals from their own family. What would you do to us?" Jennifer's clients started dropping her. Nobody wants a PR consultant with a reputation for exploitation. She tried to freelance, tried to rebrand. Nothing worked. The stain was permanent. Henry had to shut down the San Antonio plant, lost $200,000 plus another $100 in cleanup costs. The failure tanked his reputation in Texas manufacturing circles. Nobody would partner with him. Nobody would invest. The Harrington name, which used to open doors, now closed them. They put the Westlake Mansion on the market 2 months after Easter, 4,000 square feet, pool, 3-car garage. The house Jennifer had wanted so badly to impress the neighbors, it sold fast. They walked away with almost nothing after paying legal fees and the first settlement installment. They moved to a 1,200 square foot apartment in Round Rock. Generic complex, shared walls. No yard. Emma and Lucas had to change schools, leave their friends, start over in a place where nobody knew who the Harringtons were. I didn't celebrate their suffering, but I didn't mourn it either. Actions have consequences. They'd gambled on my grief and lost. Meanwhile, I got my money back, got my company back, got my reputation back. The cognitive testing results went public. Every news outlet that had whispered about my decline had to print corrections. Ruth Harrington is sharp as ever. Ruth Harrington was gaslit by her own family. Ruth Harrington is a survivor. The speaking requests poured in. Women's business conferences, elder advocacy groups, financial abuse prevention panels. I said yes to all of them, told my story over and over, not for sympathy, for prevention, so other women would recognize the warning signs before it was too late. Harrington Fizz launched the Grandma Lillian line, orange soda with a kick, bold flavor, unapologetic branding, my face on every label, gray hair, laugh lines, 0 apologies. Sales went through the roof. Turns out America loves a fierce grandma who fights back. I used the settlement money to create the Grandma Lillian Scholarship, $750,000 in an endowment fund. Scholarships for women over 50 starting businesses. Women who'd been told they were too old, too tired, too late. Women who needed someone to believe they still had fire left. The first year, we funded 12 businesses, a bakery in Houston, a consulting firm in Dallas, a clothing line in San Antonio, a tech startup in Austin run by a 62-year-old former teacher who'd taught herself to code. I met every recipient personally, told them my story, told them age is just a number and fierce is a choice, told them that surviving betrayal doesn't make you bitter, it makes you unstoppable. Grandma Lillian Droniak sent me a video message. That 94-year-old firecracker looked at the camera and said, "Ruth Harrington, you're my kind of woman. Don't let anyone dim your fizz, honey. We're just getting started." I framed that video, hung it in my office, right next to the photo of Tom under our oak tree. Henry and I don't talk, maybe twice a year, stiff phone calls on birthdays. He's working construction now. Jennifer's a substitute teacher. They're rebuilding, slowly, quietly. Without me. Emma and Lucas visit every other Saturday. Supervised at first. Now just us. We bake cookies. We talk about school. I teach them that family means showing up even when it's hard. That love doesn't mean accepting abuse. That grandma isn't confused. Grandma's the sharpest person they know. Some people ask if I regret how it ended. If I wish I'd been softer. More forgiving. More maternal. I tell them the same thing every time. I gave Henry life. I gave him opportunity. I gave him my trust. What I won't give him is permission to destroy me. That's not cruelty, that's survival. And survival, at 60 years old, feels a whole lot like victory. The Harrington Fizz board meeting in September was standing room only. I walked in wearing the black Stetson Grandma Lillian had sent me, tailored blazer, jeans, boots that had walked every inch of that ranch. I wasn't dressing for Wall Street anymore. I was dressing like myself. The board had voted unanimously the week before. Ruth Harrington returns as CEO effective immediately. Henry's interim leadership was terminated with cause. No severance, no recommendations, just gone. I stood at the head of that conference table and looked at 12 faces I'd known for 20 years. Some of you believed the rumors about my decline, I said. Some of you thought I was losing my edge. Some of you probably wondered if Henry was right and I needed to step aside. The room was silent. I'm 60 years old. My memory is sharper than most 40-year-olds. My strategic thinking hasn't dulled. What happened to me wasn't cognitive decline. It was systematic psychological abuse by people I trusted. And I'm here to tell you it will never happen again. I laid out the plan. New product line, new marketing strategy, new direction that honored our roots while embracing the cultural moment. America was hungry for authenticity, for grit, for women who refused to disappear just because they'd earned some gray hair. We're launching Rebel Grandma Orange, I said. Limited edition, bold flavor, unapologetic branding, and we're donating 10% of proceeds to elder abuse prevention organizations across Texas. The VP of marketing looked skeptical. Ruth, are you sure? The grandma angle might alienate younger demographics. I smiled. Launch it, trust me. Rebel Grandma Orange hit shelves on a Tuesday. Bright orange cans with my face on them. Gray hair wild, eyes fierce. Tagline, too old to care, too young to quit. It sold out in 48 hours. Every grocery store from Houston to El Paso emptied their stock. Gas stations couldn't keep it on shelves. Online retailers crashed from traffic. Social media exploded. TikTok videos of grandmothers cracking open cans and toasting the camera. Instagram posts from daughters buying cases for their mothers. Twitter threads about ageism and second acts. Grandma Lillian Droniak posted a video drinking one while doing her signature dance. 3 million views in 6 hours. We scrambled to increase production. Ran 3 shifts at the bottling plant. Still couldn't keep up. By the end of the month, Rebel Grandma Orange had generated $18 million in revenue. The most successful product launch in Harrington Fizz history. I got interview requests from Good Morning America, CNN, Forbes, and The Today Show. Did all of them. Told my story every time. Not just the betrayal, the comeback, the refusal to be erased. The power of standing up even when your own family tries to knock you down. While all this was happening, I met with my estate attorney. Time to make some hard decisions about the future. My will had always split everything evenly between Henry and Ellie. Standard, fair, what parents do. I rewrote it. Ellie gets 60% of my estate, including controlling interest in Harrington Fizz. She earned it, showed up, fought for me, chose truth over comfort. Henry gets nothing from the company. Nothing from my personal assets. He's written out completely. Patricia warned me this would hurt. I told her it was supposed to. Jennifer gets nothing. She's not family anymore, just a woman I used to know who made terrible choices. But Emma and Lucas, my grandchildren, they're innocent in this. 8 and 10 years old now. They didn't choose their parents' crimes. They shouldn't pay for them forever. I created a trust fund for each of them. $500,000. Payable when they turn 21. But with conditions. The money only releases if they maintain direct contact with me throughout their teenage years. No parents as intermediaries. No filtered communication. Real relationships. Birthdays. Holidays. Phone calls. Visits. Proof that we're connected. If Henry or Jennifer interfere, the trust dissolves. The money goes to the Grandma Lillian Scholarship Fund instead. The kids get nothing. Patricia read the terms twice. Ruth, this is aggressive. It's protective, I corrected. Henry and Jennifer spent 3 years turning those kids into weapons against me. This ensures they can't do it again. Emma and Lucas get to know their grandmother. Really know me. Not the version their parents invented. What if they choose not to have a relationship? Then they've made their choice. And I've made mine. The paperwork was filed. Legal, binding, irreversible. I told Henry and Jennifer in a brief email. No phone call. No meeting. Just facts. You're removed from my will. The kids have trust funds contingent on maintaining relationships with me without your interference. Do not contact me except for scheduled visits with Emma and Lucas. Henry called anyway. I didn't answer. He left a voicemail. Mom, please, we can fix this. We can rebuild. I deleted it without finishing. Some bridges don't get rebuilt. Some relationships don't survive betrayal. That's not cruelty. That's consequence. Jennifer sent a long letter, handwritten, full of apologies and justifications and promises to change. I read it once, filed it away, didn't respond. Words are cheap, trust is earned. She'd spent years proving I couldn't trust her. One letter didn't change that. But Emma, sweet Emma, called me on a Saturday morning. Grandma, Daddy said you don't love us anymore. My heart cracked. Baby, that's not true. I love you more than all the stars. But loving you means protecting you. And sometimes protecting means distance from people who make bad choices. Even if it's Daddy? Even then. She was quiet for a long time. Then, can I still come visit? Just me and Lucas? Every other Saturday. I'll pick you up myself. Okay, Grandma. I miss you. I miss you too, baby. That's the thing about setting boundaries. People call it harsh, call it unforgiving, call it cold. But boundaries aren't walls, they're gates. They let in the people who respect you and keep out the ones who don't. Henry doesn't respect me. Jennifer doesn't respect me. But Emma and Lucas, they're learning to, and that's enough. I'm 60 years old, CEO of a company I built from nothing, survivor of betrayal that should have broken me, founder of a scholarship program that's changing lives, face of a product line that's redefining what it means to age with power. And I'm just getting started. 1 year later, the letter arrived. No fancy envelope. No certified mail. Just old-school notebook paper in a plain white envelope with my name written in Henry's handwriting, the same handwriting I'd seen on birthday cards when he was 10. The same loops and slants that used to make my heart swell with pride. I almost threw it away. Stood by the kitchen trash can for 5 full minutes, holding it over the bin. But something stopped me. Maybe curiosity. Maybe stubbornness. Maybe the part of me that was still his mother, even after everything. I opened it. 3 lines. That's all. No preamble. No justifications. No excuses. Mom, I was wrong about everything. I let fear turn me into someone Dad would be ashamed of. If you'd let me, I'd like to bring Emma and Lucas to the rodeo once a year. Just that. Nothing more unless you want it. No signature. Just those 3 lines on paper that looked like it came from a kid's school binder. I sat down at the kitchen table, read it 5 more times, looked for the manipulation, the hidden angle, the careful wording designed to make me feel guilty. I couldn't find it. It was just broken, just honest, just Henry at rock bottom, asking for the smallest possible mercy. I didn't answer right away. Folded the letter. Put it in the drawer with all the other important documents. Birth certificates. Tom's death certificate. The settlement papers. The cognitive test results. All the paperwork of a life lived hard and survived harder. That evening, I drove out to the ranch, parked by the creek, watched the hill country roll purple as the sun dropped low. The live oaks threw long shadows across the pasture. Bluebonnets were gone for the season, but you could see where they'd been. Little patches of darker green, waiting for spring. I cracked open a cold Rebel Grandma orange, took a long drink. Tasted like victory, tasted like comebacks, tasted like every woman who'd ever been told to sit down and decided to stand up instead. My phone buzzed. Text from Ellie. You okay, Mom? You've been quiet today. I'm good, I typed back. Just thinking. About Henry? About everything. She sent a heart emoji. I'm here if you need me. I know, baby. I know. I sat there until the stars came out, thought about Tom, thought about the life we'd built, thought about the son we'd raised who'd made such catastrophic choices, thought about the grandchildren who deserved better than inheriting their parents' mistakes, thought about Grandma Lillian Droniak. That 94-year-old force of nature who'd taught me that age isn't decline. It's distillation. You shed the nonsense and keep the fire. She'd said something in one of her videos that stuck with me. Getting even doesn't mean getting cruel. It means getting clear. Clear about who you are, clear about what you'll accept, clear about the difference between justice and revenge. I'd gotten even, exposed the truth, reclaimed my money, rebuilt my reputation, set boundaries that protected me. That was justice. But cruelty? That would have been destroying Henry completely. Taking Emma and Lucas away forever. Making sure he never got a chance to repair anything. Burning every bridge and salting the earth behind me. I didn't want that. Not because I was soft. Because I was strong enough to hold two truths at once. Henry had betrayed me. And Henry was still my son. Both could be true. Both were true. I pulled out my phone. Called Emma. She answered on the second ring. Grandma! Hey baby, how's school? We learned about the solar system today. Did you know Jupiter has 79 moons? I did not know that. That's amazing. We talked for 15 minutes about school, about her soccer team, about the book she was reading, normal grandmother-granddaughter things, the things Henry and Jennifer had tried to steal from me. Before we hung up, I said, Emma, I need you to tell your daddy something for me. Can you do that? Okay, Grandma. Tell him the ranch gate code is still 1954. That's the year Grandma won her first rodeo queen crown. If he wants through that gate again, he comes alone, and he brings the truth with him. Can you remember that? 1954. Come alone, bring the truth. Got it. Good girl, I love you, baby. Love you too, Grandma. I hung up, sat with what I'd just done. I hadn't said yes to reconciliation, hadn't promised forgiveness, hadn't opened the door wide. But I'd left it unlocked, just barely. Enough for a man who was truly sorry to push through if he had the courage. The gate code was a test. If Henry showed up with Jennifer, with excuses, with anything less than complete honesty, he'd prove he hadn't changed. The gate would stay closed. But if he came alone, if he came humble, if he came ready to sit in the truth of what he'd done without deflection or justification, then maybe we could start building something new. Not what we had before, that was gone, but something real, something earned. I drove home as the stars filled up the Texas sky, big state, big enough for second chances if you're brave enough to ask for them honestly. When I walked into my house, I looked at the framed photo of Tom on the mantel. He was smiling, holding a bottle of the first ever Harrington Fizz. Young and full of dreams neither of us knew would come true. I think he'd approve of what I'd done. The boundaries. The justice. The tiny crack of light I'd left for Henry to find his way back through. Tom always believed in redemption, but he also believed in accountability. I could give both. Strong enough to demand truth. Soft enough to leave the gate unlocked. That's not weakness, that's wisdom. And wisdom, at 61 years old, feels a whole lot like peace. I'm Ruth Harrington, the Fizz Queen, Grandma Lillian's biggest fan, survivor of betrayal, builder of empires, and I'm still here, still standing, still fierce. And if my son wants back in my life, he knows where to find me. The gate code is 1954. The rest is up to him.